Good morning, everyone. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have ever waited to feel motivated before doing something important? Maybe it's studying for an exam, working on a big project, or even going to the gym. We tell ourselves, I'll start when I feel ready. But what happens? We keep waiting and waiting. Here's the truth. If you wait for motivation, you'll never start. And if you never start, you'll never finish. So today, I want to talk about something powerful, forcing yourself to get things done even when you don't feel like it. Most of us have been taught to believe that motivation is the key to success. We wait for the perfect moment, for the rush of inspiration that will finally get us moving. We assume that highly successful people are simply more motivated than the rest of us. But let me ask you this. How many times have you felt motivated to start something only to lose interest a few days later? How many times have you set ambitious goals only to abandon them when the excitement fades? Motivation is a beautiful thing, but it's unreliable. It's like a spark. It flares up, burns bright, and then disappears. It's the reason why people sign up for gym memberships in January and stop going by February. It's why we start a new project with enthusiasm but struggle to follow through when things get tough. Motivation can help you start, but it won't help you finish. And this is where discipline becomes the game changer. Discipline is different. Discipline doesn't rely on feelings. It doesn't care whether you're excited or exhausted. Discipline is about showing up day after day, no matter how you feel. It's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. And if you understand how discipline works, you'll never again have to depend on fleeting bursts of motivation to get things done. Think about the most successful people in the world. Athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, scientists. Do you think they feel motivated every single day? Of course not. But they train, work, and create anyway because they understand that their success is built on consistency, not mood. If Serena Williams only practiced when she felt like it, she wouldn't be a champion. If Elon Musk only worked on his companies when he was inspired, Tesla and SpaceX wouldn't exist. These people don't rely on motivation, they rely on systems, habits, and most importantly, discipline. Now here's the hard truth. Discipline isn't always fun. It requires effort. It means doing the work even when it's inconvenient, even when you'd rather be doing something else. But the beauty of discipline is that it compounds. The more you practice discipline, the easier it becomes. Over time, what once felt like a struggle becomes second nature. Waking up early, exercising, studying, practicing your craft, it all becomes part of who you are, not just something you have to do. One of the most effective ways to build discipline is by removing the option of quitting. When you make a commitment to yourself, whether it's finishing a book, learning a new skill, or sticking to a schedule, don't leave room for negotiation. Too often we let our emotions dictate our actions. I don't feel like working today. I'm too tired. I'll do it tomorrow. But discipline means making decisions based on your goals, not your mood. Think of it this way. If you had an important meeting with your boss, would you skip it just because you didn't feel like going? Probably not, because you see it as a non-negotiable responsibility. Now imagine treating your personal goals the same way. Imagine making your commitments to yourself just as important as your commitments to others. That's the power of discipline. And here's the good news. Discipline is not something you're born with. It's something you build. Just like a muscle, it gets stronger with use. Start small. If you struggle with procrastination, commit to working for just 10 minutes. If you want to build a new habit, focus on consistency rather than intensity. Over time, these small acts of discipline add up, creating a powerful momentum that carries you forward. So the next time you find yourself waiting for motivation, remember this. Motivation is a visitor, but discipline is a permanent resident. If you truly want to achieve something, don't wait until you feel like it. Do it anyway. Because the people who succeed in life aren't the ones who always feel motivated. They're the ones who have learned to act even when they don't. Imagine waking up every morning with a sense of purpose so strong that no obstacle can shake your determination. Imagine tackling your work, your studies, or your personal goals with an unshakable drive, not because you have to, but because you want to. This is the power of knowing why you do what you do. When people struggle to stay consistent, when they find it hard to push through difficulties, it's often because they have lost sight of their deeper purpose. They focus on what they need to do, but they forget why it matters. And when you don't have a strong why, even the smallest distractions or excuses can pull you off course. Consider a student who has an upcoming exam but finds it hard to study. They know they should study, but there's no urgency, no real emotional connection to the task, so they procrastinate. Now imagine if that same student deeply understands that their education will determine their future, that success in school means more opportunities, financial security, and the ability to provide for their family. Suddenly, studying isn't just about passing a test, it's about building a future. That understanding shifts everything. It turns discipline into a choice rather than a burden. This is why successful people in any field always start with why. They don't just wake up and go through the motions. They have a clear sense of purpose that guides them. Think about some of the greatest leaders in history, Martin Luther King Jr., Steve Jobs, or Mahatma Gandhi. They didn't inspire people simply by telling them what to do. They connected people to a greater cause. They made them believe in something bigger than themselves. That is what fuels relentless action. The same principle applies on a personal level. If you wake up every day feeling uninspired, struggling to find the motivation to work on your goals, it's time to ask yourself, why does this matter to me? The clearer you are about your why, the easier it becomes to take action, even when things get difficult. A struggling entrepreneur might feel exhausted and overwhelmed by the long hours and constant setbacks, but if they remind themselves that they are building a business to provide for their family, to create something meaningful, or to make a difference in the world, that reminder will give them the strength to keep going. It's not enough to set goals like, I want to make more money, or I want to get fit. Those are surface level goals, and they don't inspire long-term commitment. Instead, you need to go deeper. Ask yourself, why do I want to make more money? Is it to give my family a better life? To gain freedom? To support a cause I care about? The stronger your why, the stronger your resilience. People who succeed are not necessarily the most talented or the smartest. They are the ones who have a reason so strong that quitting is not an option. The best part? This is something anyone can develop. You don't need extraordinary skills or luck. You just need clarity. When you feel like giving up, when you're exhausted, when you're tempted to procrastinate, take a step back and reconnect with your purpose. Write it down, read it every day, keep it front and center in your mind. Purpose creates energy. It turns discipline into a natural habit rather than a forced effort. It transforms challenges into stepping stones instead of roadblocks. And most importantly, it keeps you moving forward even when motivation fades, because when you start with why, the how becomes much easier to figure out. There is a common misconception that success comes from one big breakthrough, one massive effort, or a sudden stroke of genius. People admire athletes, entrepreneurs, and artists, assuming they got to where they are because of one defining moment. But in reality, success is built on small, consistent actions that create momentum over time. The hardest part of any task is getting started, and once you take the first step, everything else begins to fall into place. Think about the times you avoided doing something important, whether it was starting a new project, preparing for an exam, or working out. The longer you waited, the bigger the task seemed in your mind. But the moment you finally started, it wasn't as bad as you imagined. That's because action creates momentum. It shifts your mindset from hesitation to progress. The problem is that most people wait until they feel ready before they begin, not realizing that readiness comes from movement, not from waiting. Imagine a car that has been parked for a long time. When you first press the accelerator, it takes a lot of energy to get it moving, but once it starts rolling, it requires much less effort to keep going. This is how momentum works. The first step is the hardest, but once you overcome it, each step afterward becomes easier. The more you act, the more natural it becomes to keep taking action. One of the biggest mistakes people make is setting massive goals without breaking them into smaller, manageable steps. When you look at a goal as one big task, it feels overwhelming, and that feeling leads to inaction. Instead, the best approach is to start small. If you want to write a book, don't focus on writing an entire novel in one sitting. Focus on writing just one paragraph. If you want to get in shape, don't start with an intense 2-hour workout. Start with 5 minutes of movement. These small wins build confidence, and confidence fuels motivation. The reason small wins are so powerful is that they create a sense of achievement. When you complete a small task, your brain releases dopamine, a chemical associated with pleasure and motivation. This reinforces the behavior, making you more likely to continue. Over time, these small victories add up, leading to major progress. The key is to focus on progress, not perfection. Too many people give up because they expect immediate results. They think that if they don't see big changes right away, their efforts aren't working. But the truth is, every small step moves you forward, even if you don't see the results immediately. Consider how a snowball grows as it rolls down a hill. It starts as a tiny ball, but with each rotation, it picks up more snow, becoming larger and more powerful. Your actions work the same way. Every time you take a step forward, even if it seems insignificant, you are adding to your momentum. This concept applies to all areas of life. If you want to develop a new habit, start small and stay consistent. If you want to overcome procrastination, just commit to working for 5 minutes, because once you start, you're likely to keep going. If you want to achieve a long-term goal, focus on making daily progress rather than worrying about the final outcome. The most successful people in the world are not necessarily the ones who make the biggest moves all at once. They're the ones who take small, consistent actions every single day. Over time, these actions compound into something extraordinary. The difference between success and failure often comes down to whether or not you are willing to take that first small step. Think about the last time you made a commitment to yourself. Maybe you told yourself you would wake up early, exercise regularly, study for an extra hour each day, or finally start that project you've been putting off. At that moment, you were convinced that you would follow through. But then life happened, you felt tired, distracted, or overwhelmed, and you let yourself off the hook. You made excuses, promised yourself you would start tomorrow, and eventually the commitment faded away. This happens to almost everyone, not because we lack the ability to succeed, but because we don't take our commitments to ourselves as seriously as the commitments we make to others. When we make a promise to someone else, our boss, a friend, a family member, we usually keep it. If you have a scheduled meeting, you show up. If a friend is counting on you to help them move, you make time for it. But when it comes to personal commitments, we tend to be more flexible, allowing ourselves to break promises without much consequence. And that's the problem. If we don't treat our commitments as non-negotiable, we create a habit of quitting when things get difficult. The truth is, commitment is not about how you feel in the moment. It's about making a decision in advance and sticking to it no matter what. If you only work on your goals when you feel motivated, you will never reach them. Motivation is unreliable, it comes and goes, but when you commit to something and make it non-negotiable, you remove the option of quitting. You no longer have to decide if you will do something, you already know you will. This makes it easier to take action because there is no debate, no room for excuses. One of the most powerful ways to solidify a commitment is to attach it to your identity. Instead of saying, I want to work out, say, I am someone who works out every day. Instead of saying, I should study more, say, I am a disciplined student. When you tie your commitments to your identity, following through becomes a natural part of who you are. You no longer rely on external motivation because your actions align with your self-commitment. Another way to reinforce commitment is by creating accountability. If you struggle to stay committed, tell someone about your goal. Share it with a friend, mentor, or even on social media. When other people are aware of your commitment, you feel a stronger sense of responsibility to follow through. This external pressure can be a powerful tool for staying disciplined. It's also important to set clear rules for yourself. Many people fail to stay committed because they allow too much flexibility. They say things like, I'll work on my project when I have time, or I'll exercise when I feel like it. But without clear rules, it's too easy to push things aside. Instead, set specific commitments. Decide that you will work out every morning at 7 a.m. or study for 1 hour every evening, no matter what. When you remove the decision-making process, you eliminate the possibility of talking yourself out of it. Of course, there will be days when you don't feel like doing the work. That's inevitable. But those are the moments when commitment matters most. Growth happens when you push through discomfort, when you take action despite not wanting to. Every time you follow through, even when it's difficult, you strengthen your discipline and build trust in yourself. And over time, the act of staying committed becomes a habit. The people who achieve great things in life aren't the ones who always feel motivated. They are the ones who made a decision, committed to it fully, and refused to negotiate with themselves. Commitment removes doubt, eliminates hesitation, and turns success from a possibility into an inevitability. If you want to reach your goals, make a commitment and make it non-negotiable. Imagine standing at the bottom of a massive staircase, looking up at the top. Your goal is to reach the highest step, but as you stare at the seemingly endless climb, doubt creeps in. The journey looks overwhelming and suddenly you feel stuck. This is exactly what happens when people focus too much on the end result, rather than the immediate step in front of them. The truth is, big goals are not achieved in one giant leap. They are conquered one small step at a time. Progress isn't about making massive, life-changing moves all at once. It's about consistently taking small actions that add up over time. One of the main reasons people fail to achieve their goals is because they set their sights too far ahead without appreciating the importance of steady, incremental progress. They want instant results, and when they don't see immediate success, they become discouraged and give up. This is the mindset that holds people back. If you want to achieve something significant, you must learn to value progress over perfection. It's not about how fast you move, it's about continuing to move forward, no matter how small the steps. Think about learning a new skill, whether it's playing an instrument, speaking a new language, or developing a new habit. The beginning stages are always the hardest. You might struggle, make mistakes, and feel like you're not improving fast enough, but if you stay consistent, if you commit to just a little bit of progress each day, you will eventually build momentum. Over time, the small efforts compound, and suddenly you realize how far you've come. This is the power of small wins. The reason small wins are so effective is that they create a sense of accomplishment. Every time you complete a small task, your brain rewards you with a feeling of success, which makes you more likely to continue. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. Each small win adds to your momentum, making it easier to keep going. This is why focusing on small, manageable steps is far more effective than trying to achieve massive success overnight. Too often people allow perfectionism to paralyze them. They think that if they can't do something perfectly, it's not worth doing at all. This mindset is a trap. It leads to procrastination, self-doubt, and ultimately inaction. But progress isn't about perfection. It's about showing up, doing your best, and continuously improving. The most successful people in the world are not the ones who never make mistakes. They are the ones who keep going despite their mistake. One of the best ways to maintain progress is to track your small wins. When you acknowledge and celebrate your progress, no matter how minor, you reinforce positive behavior. If you're working toward a fitness goal, keep a journal of your workouts. If you're learning a new skill, track your practice sessions. If you're building a business, document every small milestone. When you look back, you'll see how much you've accomplished, and that alone will motivate you to keep pushing forward. It's also important to remember that progress is not always linear. There will be setbacks, challenges, and days when you feel like you're moving backward. But that's part of the journey. Growth is messy. Success is never a straight line, and expecting it to be will only lead to frustration. Instead of focusing on the obstacles, focus on your ability to adapt and keep moving. Even on the hardest days, taking one small step forward is still progress. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't talent, luck, or intelligence. It's perseverance. It's the willingness to show up every day and make progress no matter how small. The key is to shift your mindset from focusing solely on the outcome to embracing the process. When you do this, you'll find that success is not a distant dream. It's something you are building, one step at a time. There is a simple but powerful truth about success. Discipline always beats motivation. Too many people rely on motivation to get things done, believing that if they just feel inspired enough, they will take action. But the problem with motivation is that it is unpredictable. It comes in waves, sometimes high and powerful, pushing you forward, and other times weak and fleeting, leaving you stuck. If you only act when you feel motivated, you will struggle to stay consistent, and consistency is the foundation of success. Think about elite athletes, successful entrepreneurs, or anyone who has mastered a skill. They don't wait for motivation to strike before they practice, train, or work. They follow a disciplined routine, showing up every single day, whether they feel like it or not. This is what separates those who achieve great things from those who remain stuck. The people at the top of their fields didn't get there because they were constantly motivated. They got there because they built strong habits of discipline that carried them through even when motivation disappeared. Discipline is about making a decision and sticking to it, regardless of how you feel in the moment. It means doing the work even when you're tired, unmotivated, or distracted. It's about keeping promises to yourself, even when no one else is watching. While motivation is emotional and unreliable, discipline is a choice that you can make every single day. One of the biggest reasons people fail to develop discipline is because they rely too much on willpower alone. Willpower is like a battery. It drains over time. If you constantly force yourself to make decisions in the moment, you will eventually give in to excuses and distractions. That's why the most disciplined people remove decision-making from the process. Instead of deciding if they will work on their goals each day, they create routines and habits that make action automatic. They eliminate the question of whether they feel like doing something and simply do it. For example, if you struggle to work out consistently, don't leave it up to a daily decision. Set a specific time, lay out your workout clothes the night before, and treat it like an unbreakable appointment. If you want to improve your productivity, structure your day so that your most important tasks happen at the same time every day, no matter what. When you create systems that support discipline, you no longer have to rely on willpower, you simply follow the plan. Another key to building discipline is learning to embrace discomfort. Many people avoid difficult tasks because they associate them with pain or struggle. But if you want to succeed, you have to train yourself to push through discomfort rather than avoid it. The more you do hard things, the easier they become. Over time, you build resilience, and what once felt overwhelming becomes second nature. Think about someone training for a marathon. On the first day, running even a few miles might feel unbearable. But by showing up every day, pushing through the discomfort and staying consistent, their endurance grows. Eventually, what once felt impossible becomes easy. The same principle applies to any goal. The more you practice discipline, the stronger it becomes and the less effort it takes to stay committed. It's also important to shift your mindset about discipline. Many people view discipline as restrictive, something that takes away freedom. But in reality, discipline creates freedom. When you are disciplined with your time, you have more control over your life. When you are disciplined with your health, you feel stronger and more energetic. When you are disciplined with your finances, you create security and opportunity. Discipline isn't a burden, it's a tool that allows you to build the life you want. The reality is motivation will always come and go, but discipline is what keeps you moving forward. If you wait until you feel like doing something, you will never reach your full potential. But if you develop the habit of showing up no matter what, success becomes inevitable. Discipline is not something you are born with, it's something you build one decision at a time. The more you practice it, the easier it becomes and the closer you get to achieving your biggest goals. Success is not about waiting for motivation to strike. It is about taking control, forcing yourself to take action, and staying committed even when it's difficult. The people who achieve great things are not the ones who always feel inspired. They are the ones who show up every day, push through discomfort, and take consistent steps toward their goals. Small actions create momentum, and momentum leads to progress. When you commit to your goals without negotiation, when you value discipline over motivation, and when you embrace the power of small, consistent efforts, you set yourself up for long-term success. The key is to stop overthinking, stop waiting for the perfect time, and start moving forward now. Every step you take builds confidence, every small win reinforces your progress, and every moment of discipline strengthens your ability to succeed. The only thing standing between you and your goals is the willingness to take action, regardless of how you feel. Success is not about luck, talent, or external circumstances. It is about the choices you make every day. Choose to move forward. Choose to stay committed. Choose to force yourself to get things done.